Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm here with Mark Screeton from In2Out. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Good stuff. If you could start us off, as we always do, just to give us a little bit but more background as to who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please, Mark.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm the executive director of In2Out, which is a resettlement mentoring charity. We support a bit more than 100 young people, most of them aged between 15 and 21 years old,
Mhm.
each year. And we're supporting young people that are coming out of prisons. So we meet them first in prison and get to know them. And just by the way, these are young people that want something different from life
Sure.
and don't want to go back to prison. And then we support them as they return to their communities, wherever that is across the North and the Midlands
Mhm.
of England, with the aim ultimately, I guess, of giving them a more hopeful um, view on what life might be like, and
Yeah,
stopping them going back to prison. And I've been involved since 2017, so a bit more than 8 years.
fantastic. And when did the charity start?
So the charity started at the back end of 2013.
Mhm.
Um, And yeah, it started with a pilot project that was run in conjunction with the Young Offenders Prison at Wetherby.
Mhm.
And really it went from there, the success of the pilot, and we've just been building on that since.
Fantastic. And in terms of your journey, I suppose, through starting, did you start out as exec director, or have you changed positions within the charity?
So I with Into Out, yes, that's the position I came into. Before that, I was almost 18 years overseas in international humanitarian aid. For
Mhm.
the last 16 years, I was based in Switzerland, but traveling around the world a lot to disasters and war zones.
Okay, fantastic. A breadth of experience there. So, in terms of the last 8 years for you at Into Out, um, what has your journey been like over that time? How has the charity changed, developed? What have you seen? And yeah, your sort of personal journey through that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of change, not least that kind of from the point that I was employed. Actually, I was the third employee. The
Yeah.
charity, which is pretty common for charities, started off volunteer led and volunteer staffed, if you like. Um, and I was number three through the door of paid employees.
Yeah.
And now we've got a team of 13 staff,
Mhm.
um, some of whom are based at the prison in Wetherby, and others who are more regionally based, kind of mentoring young people that are going back to their regions. Um, and now our staff team is supported by this a bigger group of volunteers who kind of really add extra value and complement everything that we're trying to do within the core team. So that in itself, I think, was a big transition from kind of the end of the startup phase of the
Sure.
charity,
Yeah.
to, I wouldn't say we're at maturity yet, but we're certainly
Mhm.
at 12 years or whatever, we're no longer a startup, and we've
Yeah.
got a stability, and now I think the capacity to try and look further and go further.
Great. What does that? So, how many uh, uh, people do you help at the moment? Is there a kind of finite capacity that you have, and then you look to build, or?
Yeah, there's definitely a finite capacity to support, but yeah, as I mentioned, we're supporting about 100 young people, or a bit more than 100 young people each year.
Mhm.
Um, and all of them will have started their engagement with us in custody.
Mhm.
That's where we meet them.
Sure.
It's a great moment to find a young person that doesn't want to be in prison and doesn't want to risk coming back to prison.
Mhm.
But yeah, then it's really about what we do as we go beyond that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
And what does that I was going to use the word service, but that kind of journey, I guess, for
Mm,
meeting the individual who doesn't want to go back to prison, meets you for the first time, you perhaps provide an opportunity to navigate their way through what they're about to go through and come out the other side. What can that look like in terms of
yeah,
the journey from when you meet them to a result at the end of the day
sure.
that is where you'd like them to be?
Yeah. So the kind of the structure that I would say that is common, but there are always exceptions, is that we'd start working with a young person some maybe 3 to 6 months before their release. So that's
Mhm.
kind of the window when they're really starting to think about what happens next. What is life going to look like when they get released? Um, and so in that sense, we don't end up working with young people that have got like 5 or 10 year sentences because they're just too far away from the resettlement element
Sure.
to really be worth focusing on then. So a mentor would get to know them in prison, would visit with them on a regular basis, and would start to build trust and build a relationship with them. Would start to try and just get to understand their story and um, begin that exploration of what life might look like.
Mhm.
And I think in some ways the bottom line is we we are trying to communicate to these young pe people that there are opportunities and there is something different. And I think that's possibly the most common kind of challenge that we find right at the beginning, is that so few of them have aspirations or have dreams for the future or hopes for their future. And it's trying to instill in them the fact that, you know, they can do it. And then
Yeah.
they're maybe not what other people or even themselves have told themselves
Mhm.
about how useless and how bad they
Mhm.
are, but actually
Yeah.
they have huge potential. And so the mentor who's almost always working one to one, ideally becomes that trusted adult. And it's not to say that there aren't other professionals involved, there often are, but we've found that our mentors often become like a real point of stability. We're not statutory, so we don't have any ability to sanction them if they don't meet with us or
Yeah.
in that sense. And their mentors often become the person that they most naturally reach out to, particularly when something goes wrong. But also when good stuff's happening and they want to communicate that to someone. So it's
Yeah.
all about the relationship. And then when they come out of prison, we'll often meet them at the gate. We often help them just with the practicalities of the first day or the first days of getting out,
Mhm.
whether that's providing them with a cheap mobile phone and some credit so that they can actually stay in touch with people.
Yeah.
It might be providing them with food or clothing, um, might be helping them get registered for, benefits, for signing up into college, whatever it is. Each one is a bit unique and it needs to be bespoke, our response. But we're basically wanting to walk alongside them to get the best
Yeah.
possible outcomes for them going forward. And that can go on for, we say initially, that's for 12 months after you
Yeah.
get out. But in reality, for a lot of these kids, because of the places that they've come from and the
Mhm.
chaotic, damaged lives that they've lived, 12 months is a really short amount of time
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
support for a lot of them. And we go on to support many of them for years and years.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that and enlightening me more on that kind of path that you assist those people with. So that's brilliant. In terms of your capacity from 100 and what the challenges are for you as a charity, but also the opportunity of where you would like it to go, what does
Yeah.
that look like?
So I think where we want to go is we want to help more young people. So actually one of the the areas that we're pushing further into at the moment, or have been over the last 18 months already, is expanding geographic reach.
Hmm.
So, I mentioned that well, I can't remember whether I mentioned, but we're based at the prison in Wetherby. So our office is just outside the young offenders prison in Wetherby, which is the biggest one in the country. And so all of the young people that we go on to support, that's where we meet them. But the kids that are in there are not from Wetherby. They're not even
Yeah,
from
yeah,
North Yorkshire necessarily or West Yorkshire, although some of them will be, but they can really come from anywhere. And so our ability to support them effectively in the community is dependent upon whether we've got staff, mentors, volunteers, contacts, connections in the places that they go back to.
yeah,
And we've seen increasingly the number of young people that are in the prison who are going back to, either Birmingham or the East Midlands, and we're trying to build our capacity in those areas with
sure.
recruiting
Yeah,
and putting the time in and the effort in to go and make those connections so that we can offer better support to young people going back to those areas. Um, so challenges of that are, staffing, recruiting, but
yeah,
also where do we get the funding from to finance that
sure.
development and do it in a sustainable way? Um, so yeah, that's kind of what the immediate kind of future looks like. I think we've really honed what we do, and I think we've got a very effective approach. It's
Mhm.
highly successful. Um, nationally, this age group are the most likely to reoffend
Yeah.
amongst any prison group. So 66% of 15 to 18-year-olds leaving custody will reoffend within
Mhm.
12 months, which is incredibly high.
Yeah, yeah.
However you look at that, um, for those kids that we support,
Mhm.
that reoffending rate within 12 months falls to less than 15%.
Wow.
So a massive difference,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
massively improved potential outcome
Mhm.
for those kids. And so we just want to be able to offer that to more kids.
Yeah.
So moving into the Midlands is also an opportunity for us to maybe start taking referrals from a second young offenders prison, which there's one just outside Stoke. So those conversations have been ongoing, and again, it's to do with our capacity to do that. But the need is there, and there's no one else doing it in this
Wow.
space. There's no one else
Okay.
doing what we're doing kind of through the gate at such
Mhm.
scale and have been doing it for so long and have the kind of the desire or the burden to actually make the support holistic enough and
Sure.
long
Yeah.
enough to really meet the needs of the young people. So it's huge opportunities there. The challenges, I mean, there's a lot of challenges just with always with working with this group because they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
very complex. Most of them have had extremely difficult upbringings.
Mhm.
We talk about adverse childhood experiences that are like acronymed down to ACEs. So that those could include like exposure to violence either directly against yourself or observing it
Mhm.
um, firsthand. Could be abuse. It could be all sorts of other types of trauma, separation from parents, drug abuse. There's a whole raft of different adverse experiences that anyone can have, but that are particularly damaging to children. And most of the young people that we work with have experienced
Yeah.
six or more of these, and the evidence says that if you've experienced four or more, you're 11 times more likely to end up in prison
Mhm.
than a child who's experienced less than four adverse childhood experiences. So there's kind of a momentum of bad experiences that has
Yeah.
kind of almost sucked many of these kids into prison, which becomes an additional traumatizing experience for them. So
Sure.
they're really challenging to work with. There's no two ways about it, but it just speaks to us of their need, the
Yeah.
need for someone to come alongside them and to not give up on them, but actually to show them that there is another way. Um, and I think that that complexity has only increased. So in my whatever 8 years experience,
Mhm.
I thought seen a lot of very difficult situations or heard a lot of very difficult stories right at the beginning, but they just continue. You just find another one that's worse than the one before, and it's not that it just keeps going up exponentially now, but um, there's been a real shift, I think, in the young people that we were working with 8 or 9 years ago. If you compared some to the group we're working with now, the needs are way higher with the group we're working with now.
Right.
And
What
that,
do you think? Sorry, I was going to say, what do you think that is down to? That may be a complex question, but I mean, I know my wife is a paramedic, and she says, and she's been a paramedic for a good 20 years or so, but the change in situations that she comes across and sees, and society changing over the last 10 years.
yeah.
What yeah, I was gonna say, what is a review that you think that's down to, and where is this where can the solutions or more solutions to it be found, do you think?
Wow. How long have we got? I don't think we're gonna answer that one.
I appreciate that's a deep question. In terms of, I suppose, yeah, just giving a kind of top level summary from your point of view, that you've seen things change over the 10 years. Now, I guess there's a kind of feeling around society at large that nobody knows really what to do. So it gets left.
Yeah.
We've got to start taking more responsibility as communities, as individuals, whoever we are, for our own understanding of the
Mhm.
situation, that we're in it together, not that it's a
Yeah.
them and us kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know how that
Yeah. I mean,
know
I,
in terms of charity, people like yourselves who have experienced success with what you do.
mm,
What is that success, I guess, is what I'm coming down to, and how could other people understand that, to understand the situation better?
yeah. Yeah. I think keeping the focus right on the young people we work with, I think their experiences over time, as a broad group, have collectively worsened, I think. And that's partly, yeah, there can be deep societal things going on, and I might have opinions on that, but it's probably not worth going too much there now.
Yeah.
But I think just in terms of the young people, like youth services in the community, but also other types of services in broader society, I think have just been in decline for
Mhm.
quite a long time. And some of that you can just point to austerity over the last
Mhm.
however long that's been going on. Um, but the lack of opportunities for young people and social media, there's no question, is is preying on the vulnerabilities of an increasingly vulnerable group.
Yeah.
The amount of exploitation of children by criminal gangs. So
Mhm.
the number of young people that we work with who have been exploited either criminally or sexually by much older adults
Mhm.
um, it is incredible, and it just keeps getting more. And that does point to like a greater disconnect within society that no one's looking out for these kids in the community.
Yeah.
Some of that I think is reflected in the fact that there are way less like diversionary tactics going on than maybe there used to be. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I think we as a charity with the group that we see in prison, we're seeing some we see some kind of intensifying of those challenges, partly because the numbers in prison are falling as well.
Mhm.
So of young people. Um, so probably 2008, 2009, there were probably around 3,000 15 to 18-year-olds in prison. Now there are about, well, it'd be less, probably less than 400. And that's a reflection of, not a reflection of declining crime, by the way,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
or criminality, but I think rightly the justice system recognized that sending children,
yeah.
15 to 18-year-olds, to prison is not a great idea.
Mhm.
It's deeply damaging for many, if not most, of the young people that get sent to prison. But what that positive, I think, change has meant is that um, those that do get sent to prison are there for really serious offences or have really complex backgrounds, which makes them extremely challenging to work with.
Sure.
Um, but we've kind of seen that intensity. We don't have the a broader spectrum that we did maybe 10 years ago of,
Yeah,
yeah, some really challenged kids with some really serious offences, but also a mix of, you know, kids that had just made a few wrong turns in life, but we're going to be okay when they got out.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's like everybody now is like, gosh, this is a real challenge.
Sure. Thank you for shining a sort of a light on that. In terms of what you need as a charity, how's your funding makeup made up?
Yeah, so we're not funded by the Ministry of Justice or the prison or anything.
Mhm.
We have had periods where the prison where we're based in Wetherby has been able to fund some of our activities inside the prison,
Mhm.
but that was often very sporadic and limited. So now there's nothing. All of our funding comes from trust and foundations, applications that we have to put in every year,
Sure.
plus, our very faithful private givers
Mhm.
who keep us going. But yeah, it's a constant battle. It's one of my responsibilities
Yeah.
amongst others. But yeah, it's a constant battle just to make sure that we've got the resources so that we can stick around with these kids and not be another, adult who's let them down, but can
Sure.
actually see them through and do what it takes to get them to where we believe they can be.
Fantastic. What is the biggest lesson, Mark, that you've learned through this to date? There's one that you can share that stands out for you,
Um,
or
well,
one or two, however it comes.
yeah, it is related to the young people, but
Mhm.
it's actually comes back to staffing.
Mhm.
So there's no question that our greatest asset is our staff. And so, this is totally not unique, I know, but hiring for attitude, not aptitude.
Yeah.
You can teach somebody skills. You can teach them the criminal justice system. You can teach them coaching or mentoring skills. You can teach them your processes and help them to understand your policies. But if they don't come in with the right attitude and they're not aligned to your culture and your values, and they don't have that inbuilt kind of passion for what we do and the
Mhm.
ability to be flexible in that, then
Yeah.
you've got it all wrong and it doesn't work. So, you
Mhm.
know, it's all about kind of recognizing the needs of the young people. So keeping the focus on that. Um, and in that, making sure that we're staffed and I say that pa that idea passes completely to our volunteers as well. I mean, they're
Mhm.
they're so important to what we do, but it's about finding the right attitudes and
Great. Yeah.
bringing those people in because those are the people that the kids will connect with, and
Mhm.
it's those connections that can potentially build something really positive and like life transformational for them. So yeah,
It's a great share. Thank you. Something that resonates, in terms of business culture and hiring the right attitude, because skills can be taught,
yeah,
whereas the attitude is, I suppose, it's inherent, isn't it, in people? It's either there or it isn't. If it's a culture match or not.
yeah,
Thank you. So, in terms of your inspiration for what you do, Mark, I mean, I could probably think of reasons why you're inspired, but in your own words, to kind of have the resilience to make a difference and keep doing it as you have done since 2017. What's your inspiration to do what you do?
yeah. Well, I mean, my bottom line inspiration for doing this work, but also for what I was doing previously, which was also extremely challenging. I mean, it's my faith in Jesus Christ. That's the bottom line. It's my desire to kind of follow him and his life and what he exemplifies to me. And I'm absolutely not saying that I couldn't or anyone else can't have, a passion or an inspiration for what the type of work I'm doing if you don't have that. But I believe it takes me to a deeper level
Yeah, yeah.
of compassion and empathy and who knows, at times in inspiration and
Mhm.
perseverance and a commitment to do what it takes because these young people are unique. They're
Yeah.
uniquely made by God, I believe. And so
Mhm.
that means that all of them, whatever they've done or wherever they've been, can be kind of brought back, can be made
Yeah, yeah.
well again, if you like.
Sure.
And I think we see that. If I felt all that and nothing really came out the other end, you could say,
Yeah.
well, that's like nothing.
Yeah.
But actually, what we see is we see young people who have hope rekindled in them. I mean, you can literally see it in their
Yeah,
faces
yeah.
sometimes. You can literally be having a conversation and something is going on behind their eyes and in the muscles of their face. And it's like that is hope. That's
Mhm.
like and they'll some of them will be able to articulate that and will say to you, whenever you speak to me, I feel like I can do it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
They don't even have to have done anything at that point, but that's the starting point for any of us, isn't it? The belief
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
something is possible, something is achievable. So seeing that transformation and change in young people who are, let's be honest, most of society is pretty happy to forget about and
Mhm.
and in many instances would just have them locked up
Mhm.
for very long periods of time and somehow done away with. And society's better that we don't engage with them or have anything to do with them because of the things that they've done. But we get to see those young people, yes, who that is part of their journey. And actually, by the way, there's a whole section of their journey that most people have no idea about. That is, it's not an excuse, but it is some sort of explanation
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
why things happened. But we see them kind of moved from a point of hopelessness and a resignation that this is what life is going to look like. And for many of them, that might actually look like not much life at all. They can't
Sure.
even imagine what life's going to be like in a year's time. Some of them
Yeah.
don't even think they'll be alive in a year's time. But we see them transformed from that into somebody who's, in college or who's got a job or who's a father
Yeah.
or who's been reconciled with family members or with their victim. And we
Mhm.
see them becoming young men who are contributing in society and have the ability to use their experiences to encourage and support others.
Sure.
And we work
That's
with these kids that other people say they're hopeless.
yeah.
There's no hope for that one. And
But
then we
with
see them.
yeah, everyone. I can't, in terms of however you want to contextualize it, but fundamentally, we all have a purpose, really,
Yeah,
deep down, and the ability to do things and to be the person that you're kind of born to be, but through
exactly.
experiences of life, they can challenge that purpose. And inherently, we do need some challenge in order to kind of realize ourselves.
Yeah,
The people who kind of may say, well, put it to one side, they got to question their purpose and say, well, have you really thought about what yours is?
yeah,
You're just disregarding it and fearing your own self, really, to actually go there and understand what's possible.
sure.
Does that
Yeah,
kind of make sense, really, in terms of just taking some of the things that you were saying and sort of having, yeah, thought about these kind of things personally on a purpose basis, sort of personally, and kind of seeing the bigger picture, really.
yeah,
It's a really nice explanation for your inspiration. So appreciate that.
yeah.
So we're going to have to wrap it up. It's been a really insightful, thoughtful interview. Thank you. But if there's
You're
any kind of
welcome.
latest news around what you guys are up to, Mark, or if it's a case of sharing your website, if people would like to put a donation forward or get in touch with you to know more about what you do, feel free to do that now.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, so our website is pretty simple. It's www.in2out, which is in number two out.org.uk. So yeah, anybody could you could make a donation there, but you could also sign up to our different comms or get in touch with me. I'd be very happy to engage. Um, yeah, I mean, we mentioned fundraising. I can't get away from the fact that
Yeah,
funding from private individuals is really important, and we've got a big fundraiser coming up the first week of December. It's a match funding mechanism, so we've got a pot of match funding, if you like, that we need to get, and we get that by people donating and basically having their donation matched.
sure.
So it's kind of our big fundraiser of the year. So, in the next weeks there'll be more information on our website about that. But
Stuff.
yeah, always happy to encourage people to engage with us there.
When we share the video, obviously put the link in the copy underneath and make a note if people wish to kind of get in.
Brilliant.
So thanks, Mark. It's been a real pleasure talking with you, and I yeah wish you all the best for kind of the future of the charity and keep doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Pleasure.